And I won't do a Rob, and I will actually record it. Cool, I think that's working. Okay, morning, guys. So my name's Liam. I'm an occupational therapist for Estus Health. And this presentation is going to be about using gaming within therapy. So as a bit of a background, my education is quite mixed. I started out in accounting and finance, progressed on to librarianship, and spent the best part of 7 years working in academic and reference libraries. So I've got a very strong background in information literacy, which has very much informed the way that I deliver a lot of my therapy. After that, I progressed over to commercial sales. I really enjoyed the customer-focused aspect of that and the rapport building, the information gathering that we did within my role. This was within the gas and electricity sector. So we did a lot of work within small to medium enterprise for my segment. And the coaching and sales training that you get in there, I think could be translated a lot to allied health as far as rapport building and goal setting and being able to identify opportunities for clients and work towards actual outcomes. And yeah, so that was a very interesting sort of thing. And then at 30, I went back to uni, actually went back to become an occupational therapist. My actual allied health background, I started out with a few years within specialist disability accommodation, working with Huntington's disease. Then went to community mental health and community disability. Worked as a therapy assistant for physiotherapy assistant for occupational therapy, and also worked within the PBS team for one of the larger providers over here as well. That was more of the PBS admin side, but I still got to get some really good exposure to the PBS workflows. As an actual occupational therapist, my background started out as vocational rehabilitation, senior rehab consultant for one of the large providers over here, and very much focused on workplace modification, workplace accommodations, and disability employment side of things, as well as the return to work process. And the return to work process, I think, as well, could greatly inform a lot of pediatric and community disability. I think there's a lot of skills and setup within there that would be very translatable skills. I did my time in vocational rehab. It was fantastic. Then moved into my pediatric role. Stayed there for about 12 months. So that was clinic-based, community-based pediatrics. And that's where I met Emily McLean as well. So we worked together for best part of a year, and she got to see me live in session plenty of times. So I might be calling on her in the presentation just to give some additional social proof. After I did a year within that role, I started my solo practice. 12-month solo practice then turned into a group practice, and we're now coming up to, I think, around 18 months into that group practice now. So collectively across those last 2.5 years of solo and group practice, I think we've done around 3,000 sessions now. We've got a fair bit of background and problem solving done to see what actually works within this. My next step is I'm finishing off the course for driver assessment, driver rehab. The Mishon's model within driver rehab, driver assessment also quite informs a lot of the stuff that I do for assessment. That's an advanced scope of practice, but the assessment and intervention styles for that also quite inform this. Okay, so gaming as an occupation. I think this is where I would probably differ from a lot of people when we're looking at, if I saw some goal setting or a referral come through about gaming, a lot of people would initially jump to the assumption we need to reduce screen time, or that gaming is an issue of is distracting from other things. I think there takes a fair bit more nuance to that. I think gaming can very much be an occupation in itself. And Arif and I have spoken about this on podcasts as well. People who identify as gamers, there's a clear identity, there's a clear community, there's self-esteem that can be built with this. It's very much a way to connect with others, show skills, build resilience, problem solving. Gaming as an occupation, it can be completely solo. It can be as a group. It can be in person. It can be online. It can be in groups in person. It can be with tabletop gaming. It could be console-based, PC-based, handheld gaming. And we also found it's a tremendous way to be able to communicate with people, catch up with friends and family overseas. I've got a family over here that they pretty much have a family Discord and Minecraft server to keep all the cousins together. It's quite remarkable how much networking that you can do just by introducing a gaming environment as a shared occupation. So it's also a way for to enjoy leisure, deliver education, stress relief, and for a very rapidly growing portion of the population, an opportunity for employment. So as far as I can see, gaming could very well be its own occupation. And if we treat it with that level of respect, then the level of analysis and assessment that we can do to support it and use it as a bridge to other occupations, I think could be a genuine opportunity. Okay. So the next section will be on rapport. So when I think of rapport, we're coming back from more of a sales background on that one. We have to rapidly build a connection with somebody. And I think connection is probably the key word there. Being able to actually build a connection with somebody will greatly inform how receptive they're going to be to whatever message that you're going to be delivering. So that could be within goal setting, goal attainment, goal identification, how receptive they're actually going to be to what you say and what kind of a direction that you're going to take that therapeutic journey in. I think all of us, the clinicians in the room at least, we've all had situations where there's just been no rapport being built with the participant, and everything that we try to suggest, all the interventions, all the rehab techniques fall completely flat. I think if we're dealing with a gamer, this could be one of those really big opportunities for increased outcomes, better rapport, better attainment, great opportunities. So with rapport, I kind of think of it as we gravitate to those who are like us or who we aspire to be. So if we have a team of professional gamers, which pretty much we do, we've got Nick, we've got Nam in our team, we've got myself. This could be a very cool avatar that a lot of autistic youth could see as like, okay, here's an actual pathway for me to aspire to. This can also be fantastic for being able to translate this to parents as well. That gaming may not be a complete waste of time, that it might not be something that you reduce, but something that you support that could reduce arguments in the future. It could greatly enhance relationships going forward. So with rapport building, there's a few specific techniques that I use when I'm meeting a gamer for the first time. Emily has been witness to this in the therapy room. But being able to do very small things as a gamer when you're meeting another gamer are very subtle, but can build rapport incredibly fast. That could be sharing your Steam profile, sharing the games that you've previously played, what in-game achievements that you've been able to make before, what you're currently playing, what games that you might have a shared sort of history of being able to play together as well. So there's been plenty of times I've met a new client and I've been able to say, oh yeah, I've got platinum trophies in Elden Ring, Sekiro, and I'm also I can show you the YouTube video of when I had a top 4 world record speed run in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Now, they've never met a therapist like that before. And that sort of opportunity to build rapport, to show that you're coming from a similar background, there's a power leveling that comes with that. Rather than coming into a situation of, I'm the therapist, I'm going to be directive about what I'm going to tell you to do next, we get to stand shoulder to shoulder with somebody. Hey, I'm another gamer. Let's do something cooperatively to move forward. Here's a clear pathway. There's plenty of opportunities for building rapport with us. Oops. Just organize my slides. Sorry, guys. So who do we typically work with? I'm mostly NDIS based, but this also applied when I was in the return to workspace. Plenty of tradies, resource industry, people who just get injured happen to be gamers. This could be a very big opportunity for being able to build rapport with an injured worker going into a rehabilitation process after a workplace injury. It could be fantastic for engaging with autistic youth, ADHD, and in particular as well, people who are identified with a PDA profile as well. This has probably been the biggest part of this company's demographic as well. Nick, you'd probably agree with that one. Yep. So we're currently seeing around, I don't know, I think we're doing about 200 sessions a month. And I would say the vast majority of those have a diagnosis of autism, 95% probably as well ADHD, with a good portion of pathologic demand-avoidants, pervasive drive for autonomy. So I think the rapport building and that concept of being able to stand or sit side by side with somebody to build on that journey is quite important. So let's see. For the therapists in the room, the OTs, we base a lot of this on the PEO model that we use in occupational therapy. So that's the person, environment, occupation. When we're doing our analysis, when we're doing our intervention planning, within session, we use a tremendous amount of motivational interviewing. We use Mishon's model of from driving OT to inform a lot of our assessment and intervention planning. So Mishon's model looks at what are we doing from a strategic long-term view? What are we doing from a tactical session setup view? And what are we doing from a moment-to-moment operations view? This could be a very good model to do some further investigation on if your OT background hasn't seen this before. And I'll be linking to this when I send out my handout. Psychology as well, we also do quite a bit of work with Acceptance and Commitment Therapy ACT, and with ACT also comes elements of CBT as well. From a pure assessment perspective, we are greatly informed by sensory profiles, Brown's executive function profiles, and also just building out a person's gaming profile can be incredibly important. If you understand a person's occupational pathway, their typical sort of play style, that allows us to set a baseline for like what is kind of expected. If they're the type of gamer that typically plays, say, a competitive player versus player, high energy sort of game, 2 hours, 3 hours a day, we get to then see over time, is there drift from that? That can inform greatly if there's a shift in playtime, if there's a shift in play style, if their competitiveness is going down, or they're changing to a game that is more low pressure. What is that then informing? It can be an incredible way to do analysis on where other areas of their life are being affected. So Arif and I have spoken about this before as well, but setting up that sort of baseline and can be an incredible way of communicating with somebody who might typically struggle with communicating about their needs, being able to identify when things aren't going well. I could use the example for myself of before we had our baby, I could play the most complex of Baldur's Gate 3, character-driven, dialogue-driven sort of games, because I had all the cognitive bandwidth in the world. I didn't have a toddler running around. I didn't have sleep deprivation. After that baby comes along, I'm reverting over to short, like relaxing, low energy sort of games. So because of that cognitive bandwidth change after having the baby, we're able to see how playstyle can be affected as well. And this could be much more subtle, but it could be a very good way to identify early warning signs of burnout, depression, anxiety, all sorts of things. And for a lot of our client base, that ability to talk about our feelings, talk about what is actually impacting us, being able to clearly identify it from an alexithymia perspective and pretty much alexithymia and interoceptive sort of impacts. We also greatly impacted by family systems therapy, and really like to look at as well at circle of influence and circle of control. These are also very, very big factors. Okay, so what is the actual focus of using gaming within therapy? I get that question a lot. People think that all I do is play video games with kids. Couldn't be further from the truth. If I have a new kid come through, first thing that we're looking at is pretty much what are the small hinges that swing big doors? We look at sleep. We look at nutrition, hydration. We look at rest and recovery. We look at the ergonomic setup. We look at the transitions. We're able to see in-game performance as one of those first things that we can look at because of how strong the cross-domain benefits can be. There's no way that you're going to be able to study well if you haven't slept. There's no way that you're going to be able to be at your best for emotional regulation and self-regulation if you're hungry, if you're dehydrated, if you're sleep deprived, if you're transitioned 300 times during the day between busy environments to quiet environments to car rides to whatever. We need to sort those out first before we can really start making those sort of further changes. We look at communication, and especially looking at assertiveness and being able to identify what our personal boundaries are compared to what rules might be. And I think this is where, if you guys wanted to look at some of the work that Nick Voikin has been doing around boundaries, this is probably one of the best areas that you can look at. Being able to distinguish between the difference between a boundary and a rule. Boundary is something that we protect for ourselves and how we react to situations, compared to a rule, which is something that we impose on others. So being able to actually identify some of the personal boundaries that we have, and being able to identify how to communicate our needs to other people in different situations can be one of the biggest factors that we have as well for emotional regulation, how we react to situations. We look at self-care and self-management. We look at the personal care side of things. How we're preparing for sessions also includes, do we have a tidy room free of visual clutter? Are we showering on a regular basis? Are we wearing clean clothes? Are we wearing the clothes that we want to wear? Do we have choice and control in that? Are we doing our own washing? Are we making our own meals? All sorts of opportunities that we have for intervention, all based on just setting up well for the gaming session. Long term, though, we typically work with the families and the individuals to say, well, where are we looking for? Sorry, guys. Where are we looking for long-term education pathways and vocational pathways and independent living? So as much as we're grounded in using gaming as the delivery method, we're still very much looking at those really big long-term goals. And because of that, we do focus almost as much on the in-between sessions as we do on what happens in session. Okay, that's some of the background for it. So here's some specifics. So how do we actually implement this stuff? So there's going to be a mix of clinicians, parents, non-OTs in this room. So this is probably going to be the most applicable for you. So if you would like to connect with a gamer, here's how we do it. So we can have it in the clinic, in the home environment. We can do it online. We can do it one-to-one, or we can do it in groups. This is all depending on what technology that you have available, what equipment that you have, and what their current skill level is, age group, anything like that. We've worked with kids from age, I think our youngest is around 6. Nick, you would probably know more about that one. I think it's, or is that, I think Nam's youngest is 6. It's around 6. And I go all the way up to 58 years old. No, 59 is my oldest client. So one of the other things about working with gamers, once you have that shared rapport of just knowing that you're working with a gamer, you're able to know that you're from the same cultural background. So you don't even need to mention gaming anymore, or you can use examples that of shared games that you've played in the past. So lots and lots and lots of opportunities. The games that we choose is typically going to be cooperative-based games. This opens up incredible opportunities for goal setting, for conversation, for embedding natural conversation breaks to talk about therapeutic techniques, or to talk about whatever sort of areas that might be a deficit in, or goal-related sort of things. It is incredibly natural way to communicate with somebody, low pressure as well. And because we're concentrating on something different, very much like if you did walking with somebody as one of the therapy techniques, you'll probably see that a lot with like school-based counseling. You'll see them walking around the oval. Far better than trying to sit somebody one-to-one, making eye contact with them and seeing them just shut down. This is very much a way to sit shoulder to shoulder somebody and walk on them with a journey. So we reduce the pressure, and it also opens up tremendous opportunities to be able to grade and adapt that that situation as well. So depending on what the goal setting is, depending on the skill level, the current sort of thing, we can change the game, we can change the situation, we can change the rate of difficulty progression. And I'm going to be able to show you 40 different games that we could play to support pretty much any situation. We also do a fair bit of work with, as I mentioned before, how do we set up for a gaming session? This could be one of those ones where you see the opportunity to set up cross-domain skill benefit. I see a lot of gamers as knowledge workers. So if we look at what knowledge workers will do for cognitive enhancement, a lot of that happens to be with how you transition into that activity. So that could be the nutrition, the hydration, the ergonomic setup. It's the visual clutter, the sensory environment. This is where our sensory profile stuff sort of comes in as well, our executive function profile. So the assessment comes in handy straight away. But that transition, that applies to schoolwork, to work, to actual like office-based work. Anything that requires deep levels of concentration, we can embed and teach those skills from a very, very young age. And if we're already dealing with a population that um, might have some struggles with executive function, autism and ADHD, absolutely, that's built into the diagnosis. And if we can enhance those skills, our occupational performance across domains improves just by improving our gaming performance. And we also get to learn all sorts of skills if we're doing online-based stuff of digital literacy type stuff. We're able to see all sorts of opportunities for digital citizenship. We'll talk more about this later as well. I'm running both a Discord server and multiple Minecraft server for these kids, and we're able to teach a leadership program. Okay. So we are running out of time, aren't we? Okay. So for a lot of these things, gaming might be the first 3 or 4 sessions. It doesn't have to be the 10 years that you might be with somebody that all you do is gaming. I very much take a return to work style approach to this, where the stakeholder engagement is probably going to be one of the major things that you look at when you're looking at gaming therapy, because it's the in between, how you set up, how you communicate with all interested parties. So if it's a return to work situation, we're looking at the insurer, the employer, the medical, the rehab provider, and the actual employee. For the gamer, we're looking at the home environment, the parents, school, or if school refusal is a factor, then we're looking at possible areas of community engagement to build up to the possibility of returning to school. So we can do sort of a progressive sort of routine building to be able to expose to that sort of situation. Just like if you're in a successful return to work situation, you don't go from injured to 6 months out of work and go straight back in full time. We do a graded return to work. We have work hardening periods where we just get used to being back into a work routine. This also applies to school burnout for a lot of these school refusal kids, or autistic burnout with adults. We can't just go straight back into our highest level of complex routines that involve other people, that involve other locations. This also needs to be a graduated approach. And for a lot of people, just going to a therapy clinic would be the major step. For so many of my clients, one of the goals has just been, let's do gaming until we can be able to return to the community, so that we can go back to being able to do clinic-based sessions. That alone is a bigger step. That means transitions in the car, the sensory environment of the actual clinic itself, with overhead lights, with movement, with different sort of sounds and sensory sensitivities. That alone is enough of a goal progression. So we look very, very closely at the PEO model for that one. So that's the person, environment, and occupation. So we look at grading, adapting for the entire way through that. So we look at what are the person factors, what are their sensory sensitivities, what are their communication needs. We look at what environment it is, and that also informs what occupations they're going to engage with. So if we have a goal-setting opportunity for improved self-care, and we have a client who is highly, highly motivated to go to, say, JB Hi-Fi or the local PC parts store to look at the latest graphics cards and gaming chairs. Oh, that's an opportunity to embed transition planning and being able to refine the processes around that with family and car rides. It's an opportunity to embed self-care skills and for showering, for dressing, those sort of things. So instead of just going from 0 to nothing, we can use these additional things, their interests, to embed other occupations, just like gravity. Like we go from, so down here is like the goal that we want to achieve. And that could be like 6 layers of different occupations that are needed different tasks that are needed to get down to that one. So instead of trying to just go, we need to improve showering, well, how about we identify the thing this person actually would like to do? That will then drive the engagement for all those other things without having to actually talk about it. This will be a natural sort of progression for goal setting. So for so many of these kids, might be a bit of a deviation, but there's not a lot of a skill deficit for a lot of these kids and adults. A lot of it comes down to being able to prioritize and identify the goals that are most important to them. So for a lot of these people, like showering just is not important, or just being polite to people isn't important. But if we can embed that within a larger occupation, then we can also work on those skills as well. So being able to clearly identify what the goals are going to be is probably going to be one of the biggest factor in where we actually do our intervention planning. Okay. But PEO is big on that one. Doing your ongoing assessment, doing your family-based catch-ups, having really good stakeholder involvement is going to be absolutely vital to so much of this. Okay. Being able to just identify who this person would like to become. I think that's a big one for a lot of these kids that I work with. I run this business, but I'm still seeing around, I don't know, 30 clients, I think. Nick, you're probably seeing about a similar sort of amount. For so many of these kids, they're feeling isolated. And a lot of them have withdrawn from society almost. And we're that first link back. And we're able to help them identify that thing of where they're currently sitting, and then a realistic view of where they could become. And we can guide them along with that one and try to identify the different occupations that will support that. And hopefully those also include education, achievement, employment, and self-care skills. But we can do a lot of work with that sort of population just to identify where you would like to move to and what sort of occupations will help support that. Yeah, that's probably one of the biggest things that I've probably taken away from these last few years. Okay. So if you're a parent, a therapist, or OT looking to implement this sort of thing in your sessions, if you've got clients that clearly identify as gamers, what would you want to play? Okay, we'll start with Nintendo. Nintendo, I'm going to say, is probably the absolute gold standard. If I had a choice, if all I could do is one platform, Nintendo would be that one, for in-person at least. You have some of the absolute greatest cooperative-based games in that. So things like Overcooked, Minecraft Dungeons, any of the Mario-based co-op games, any of the Lego-based co-op games, Portal Companion, absolutely incredible problem-solving puzzle-based game. Snipper Clip as well, absolutely incredible. And this also applies to Nintendo Wii as well as the Nintendo Switch. So if you happen to have a old Nintendo Switch sitting in the drawer, 20 years old, believe me, you could run the entire clinic of the gaming-based stuff just on that. You can find ways to be able to do cooperative-based gameplay. A lot of times, it doesn't have to be the game that the kid most enjoys or the client most enjoys. It's finding an activity that you can do together, and especially works even better if like they're already an expert in it. You can get them to teach you how to play it. You show all of the best techniques and the hacks. It's a fantastic opportunity. Okay. So Nintendo, gold standard, absolutely. If you're clinic-based, if you're community-based, I would invest in one. You probably make that back in, what, 2 or 3 sessions. I think it's worth it. If you're online, PC based, so PC based would be quite distinct from the console based stuff. We have games like Peak, Elden Ring. If you have kids who are really into Elden Ring and they have access to a PC, using the seamless co-op mod, that was probably one of the most incredible therapeutic stories I could probably ever tell. For one of my interstate clients, we did an entire playthrough of Elden Ring over the course of a year. And I think it was around 12 sessions. We finished both the base game and the DLC in 12 sessions. Both of us had played Elden Ring before, so we're able to just walk through all the bosses. But you also have Elden Ring Night Rain, absolutely incredible co-op based game, and it just happens to be that the gameplay loop lasts for around 45 minutes, almost perfect for delivering a 1 hour therapy session with time for note taking plus time for recap at the end. Elden Ring Night Rain has been absolutely incredible. Some other games, RV There Yet? So not Are We There Yet? RV. So it's a cooperative sort of you have to drive a really clunky sort of RV around this hilly sort of area. Phasmophobia has been absolutely incredible. We've been able to use that in group sessions as well. So lots of things around communication with each other, problem solving, clue identification, guessing, absolutely incredible. For some of the older kids, Schedule 1 has been really interesting. Arif, have you heard of this one? That one's been
Schedule one.
fantastic. Content warning has been fantastic.
Yeah, no, all these games, they live and die on whatever Twitch streamer is streaming it. So we just have to be ahead of the curve on that one.
Yeah. So that one's a really interesting one. But content warning as well has been a fantastic game. There are so many good cooperative-based PC games that you can implement. I'm going to be trying out Subnautica 2 this weekend with a client. From my understanding, it's been absolutely incredible so far. I think it's only just been released, so we're going to be trying that one out. Console-based, if on PlayStation, there's still going to be plenty of games, but probably not the ideal platform. It makes the voice chat a little bit more difficult. It's still possible, but it's still not as good as either in-person or PC-based. Still going to be okay. So we've got plenty of co-op-based games on there that are going to be cross-platform as well. So things like Dead Island 2 has been fantastic. Elden Ring Night Rain is on there. There's plenty of very, very good games on there. I think one of the most underrated areas people will see, and this is going to be fantastic for the parents out there and clinicians who don't have access to the best sort of technology. These ones are going to work on pretty much any system, and that's Roblox. Now, Roblox probably gets a lot of very much warranted concern from people who aren't very familiar with it. Roblox, if I had the choice, would never exist. It's full of gambling. It's full of opportunistic developers that will try to use any hack that they can to suck you into long-term gameplay. There's lots of opportunities for short-term games that are very, very addictive. Not a big fan of Roblox as a platform, but if this is your only opportunity to be able to implement this sort of a strategy, then there are some absolutely incredible games on there. And also opens up the opportunity for being able to differentiate for a lot of these kids what is harmful and what is not, being able to do a lot of the digital citizenship type stuff that I like to talk about. But specific games, so Doors. So Doors, Fish, Grow a Garden, absolutely incredible. I was able to be online with other clients when Grow a Garden set the world record for most concurrent players online at the same time. I think there was like 23 million people joining in on that group event. So that was a really cool thing to be able to do. Only Up, and there's also plenty of other obstacle-based co-op games that you can play. These can be absolutely incredible for running sessions. Color or Die, absolutely fantastic game to use with clients. One that I'm playing through with a kid at the moment is Pilgrimed. So that's very much a action RPG type co-op game. Absolutely incredible. Natural Disaster Survival, another more obby-based game, but can be great for just conversation. Arctic Explorers. There's lots of really, really, really good co-op based games that you can play. And these are going to be available on every single platform, regardless of PC, phone, tablet, PlayStation, whatever. If you have a telehealth-based client and they have access to Roblox, that's going to be one of your easiest possible entries to being able to do a telehealth-based gaming session. Okay, and to close this off, so I think I probably need to reiterate how important it is to also focus on the in-between. There's only so much that we can do within gaming-based support. It limits our opportunities for the psychoeducation, the actual clinical observations. So having eyes on the situation for the household, for the school environments, those sort of things, still going to be important. If we're going to be looking at driving outcomes, so I'm looking at emotional regulation, self-care skills, transitions, education achievements, vocational engagement, social, those sort of things. I think it's still very, very important to have a focus on being able to engage with all of the stakeholders. So that's where your communication skills are going to become absolutely paramount. So some of the ways that we've been able to also engage clients in between sessions is with creating a both a Discord server and a Minecraft server as well. So you'll notice that I never mentioned Minecraft as one of the games that I like to do for gaming-based therapy. Arif and I would probably disagree on this one, but I haven't found a really good way to implement it in session. Minecraft, I think, is such a individual game within a group setting, unless you have the right mod packs and things like that. But the amount of opportunities that you have for disagreements and arguments and yeah, I just haven't found a way to really implement it well. And we're going on about 3,000 sessions now. So that's one that we've tried in the past. Nick, you've probably had more success with that one recently with some of your clients.
Yeah. Now, Minecraft's been good as a point of connection, but not as a long-term thing, I don't think. There's a couple like who are doing great in life and they're like, hey, Minecraft's a good opportunity for them to come in a co-op setting and build connection. And that's awesome. But it can cause a lot of emotional dysregulation. But for the couple of young ones, like teenagers who I work with, they need that controlled dysregulation in that environment so that they can learn how to regulate. And that's been pivotal with Minecraft.
Yeah, so the way that I typically implement Minecraft is part of our leadership Minecraft thing that we're running. So we're able to allocate different levels of roles within the Minecraft server. We came up with the names for like the lower level moderators would be the sentinels and the higher level ones would be the demigods. So they have some level of in-game moderation ability. And yeah, so it's very interesting being able to see what happens when you put somebody in a leadership role who's never been in a leadership role before. Minecraft is incredible for being able to use a lot of the skills of what environment would you like to create. So being able to say what the rules for engagement are within a Minecraft server greatly influences what type of behavior you'll see within that environment. So the amount of skill building that you're able to do for communication of your needs, assertiveness, being able to state what your needs are in the different situations clearly and confidently, being able to say like what sort of behaviors you would expect in those situations. So if we looked at something like we're not going to allow like PvP within the server, something like that, and somebody kills somebody else. Well, we're then able to see, like, well, how do they then react? How do they then impose the rules on others? And what happens if what was the rules actually clearly sort of identified for people to go into it? Arif and I, we spoke quite in depth about this on one of our podcasts of how a lot of these kids will try to find what the boundaries are of all the rules that you set. They will, Arif, you used the fantastic term, red team. So they will try to find the boundaries and exploit every single sort of portion of those boundaries for that gaming environment. So the way that you articulate what the rules are as well can be important. So for them to be able to see that with the peer group is one of the coolest opportunities that you'll see. And that's one of the things that we'll do for the in-between support. And then we can reflect on that in session as well. So if they're having conflict within the server, whatever, we're able to then do skill building, and that's going to be able to be a long-term skill that they apply to other areas of their life as well. I think that's about all I can cover without doing specific sort of case studies. Does anybody have any questions that we got about 10 minutes left? Anybody have some questions that I could answer on the call? Otherwise, yeah, we can start wrapping up. I'll just check the chat. Any questions about specific games to play? Any things around specific setups? Any rapport building techniques that you would like to have some more information on?
Liam, Alex here.
Hey, Alex.
Do you guys ever do sessions in home, or is it always you on your computer, the client on theirs, or do you actually like meet up at their home or at a community space or something and do the gaming therapy there?
Yeah, we've done. So Emily has been witness to this of being able to do this within clinic. So we're able to do it on like a shared sort of screen with Nintendo sort of setup. Been fantastic. I've done plenty of sessions in home for VR or for Nintendo Switch, or if they've both got multiple controllers for PlayStation, anything like that. Yeah, you can do it in any sort of location. It's just going to depend on what equipment that you have, and can you find the most applicable sort of game for their skill level or their communication level.
Cool.
Okay, so hey Wilson, one of the greatest gamers that you'll ever see down in Esperance. So how do you get past the initial rapport building stage when parents are told by other therapists, teachers that screen time is evil and needs to be reduced? Wilson, you probably missed the section on this one, but excellent question. This is where a lot of the things of the in-between are going to come from it. This is where we really focus on the stakeholder engagement. There's a lot of stuff that I got to learn as a senior rehab consultant working in that return to work space of how well can you engage each of the major areas of their life. So it's not just about the in-game rapport that you can build with somebody. It's the transition planning. It's the long-term goal expectations for are we on the pathway to return to social engagement or society engagement or education pathways or vocational engagements. Arif, yes. So top 3 for VR or mixed reality besides Beat Saber. Well, you've mentioned Beat Saber, which is one of the greatest ever rhythm-based games. There's a cave game that I've been playing recently that's been really, really cool. There's I would probably say that VR is one of the toughest ones to try to implement. And I know we're going to have some people in this group from Estus Health. They've been able to do some amazing stuff with VR, but that depends on the level of equipment that you've got, how much control you've got over the environment for doing the room setup, and how much control you've got over being able to actually implement the software in the moment. VR is probably one of the hardest ones to be able to problem solve in the moment for people who've never used VR. You put on that headset and it makes you recalibrate it each time as well. So, and then you're going to have Wi-Fi dropouts. You're going to have all sorts of situations of actual implementation that makes it difficult. And then you've got the situation of, is this a single player a thing, or is this a multiplayer one? So do you have multiple headsets, and are you just delivering a fun sort of activity as or sort of a reward activity? Very, very difficult. Jared, absolutely. Jared, I know you're doing some absolutely incredible stuff with nostalgia-based gaming, and I was thinking about you on this one. I've got my little my little nostalgia-based device with all my 20,000 emulator-based things. That's one of the cool things about being able to have 30 years of gaming experience. You're able to talk about when you played your Master System games, your Mega Drive games, Super Nintendo games, Nintendo 64, PS1. You're able to do that nostalgia sort of rapport building and find games that you used to really enjoy playing. And a lot of those ones back in the day, they were very much like co-op based games or just like in-person sort of games. Okay, Camilla. Let's see. NDI is persistent for game-related stuff for therapeutic use. Yeah, so Camilla, so it's an interesting. I typically won't do PvP based stuff in session. I haven't found a way to make it really useful from a therapeutic perspective. It instantly changes the type of communication that we do. So that's why I'm so big on the cooperative based stuff and being able to set the expectations that you're not just there for gaming, that there is a therapeutic element to it. Is important to do from the start. That might mean that, hey, these are the games that I have access to. These are the co-op based ones that I have access to. And it's then going to be a thing of what can you do from a in-session perspective, but also making sure that you've got stakeholder engagement in between sessions. So if it just happens to be that the way that you engage with your client and the only way that they will engage with you is within game, okay, cool. But you still need to make sure that you're going to be doing the follow-up for the in-between sessions. Absolutely fantastic questions for stakeholder engagement. I'm running on a sort of a term-based schedule where I'll do term check-ins for my ongoing clients for the parent and stakeholder engagement. So we keep a very close eye on what type of goals that we're working on at any one time, and also doing the longer term like meta-based goals of like, are we looking at social engagement, education, or like vocational engagement? And then the short-term goals of what are we working on for the next 3 sessions, sort of thing. And being able to clearly communicate with the parents and set up separate meetings, I think is probably going to be the best way. I run a separate booking system for my consulting side every time. It's far easier for them to book in. It's on offset times compared to when the kids are going to be available generally. And being able to really communicate what our long-term goals are is going to be really important. And that could be, okay, we've got excessive gaming, excessive screen time. Okay, compared to what? Or compared to even themselves, like to the client. So if you've got a client who typically games for, I don't know, 15 hours a day. Okay, well, what else are they doing? And what were they doing 3 months ago compared to now? And is this an indicator of something else that's been going on? Yeah, and we look at a lot of the things of like if we have a client who if we're looking at like self-care skills or something of that nature, well, what is their reason for not showering? Like, is it just not a priority? And can we identify priorities that will get them to like see showering as a natural part of that goal? Like, if they really want to go to, say, local computer store, JB Hi-Fi, check out the latest whatever, then part of that could be, all right, okay, but one of their requirements is that we have a shower beforehand. Cool. Okay, we start to embed that. Okay, a reef. Ultimate Party Horse is, yeah, that's okay. That's more of a party game. That's not so much what I'm looking at for like just straight up PvP. Like there are opportunities for Fortnite, for Minecraft PvP, for Counter-Strike, whatever. But they're going to be more of the in-between setup. So that's where we're going to be looking at like executive function skills for and communication skills of how well can you set up your gaming groups. So that's something that we've been really big on in our Discord server of setting up their own gaming groups and being able to do their own PvP tournaments for whatever game they're playing and help them support in being able to promote that and set expectations for communication and rule setting, things like that. So lots and lots of opportunities for PvP without doing PvP within session. Any other questions? I don't have another session for 2 hours, so I can stay on the call. Yeah, so with in-person sessions, I will say this till I'm blue in the face, but Nintendo is the absolute king of that. The games that you have for the opportunities on there are second to none for any other sort of setup that you've got. If you invested the $1,000 in the full Switch setup with all the games that you wanted, you would have absolute return on investment on those. Better client engagement, everything. They're absolutely incredible. Any other questions that we've got? Anyone want to just jump on the call?
Just got a quick question. I'm a psychologist and I sort of work with kids in all sort of ages, but I'm not a gamer as such.
Yep.
I know of games and like my oldest boy is a gamer and my younger kids are as well. But I can see the benefit and I understand and that connection, that relationship. So even just me speaking about the different games with kids or even just knowing about them and knowing like just with Roblox, just knowing like, oh, okay, there are many games in Roblox, it's not just like when parents say they play Roblox, it's like, oh, I'll be like, what game? And they're like, oh, wow, and I don't kind of notice there's different things. So, and I've done some training like the Minecraft, using Minecraft and therapy and things like that. So just trying to, again, like, as you said, that connection and building that relationship and that rapport is really big. So I'm just kind of, do you think that makes a difference? The fact that I'm not like a true gamer as such, like I don't.
I'll use it to your advantage, actually. If you say, hey, I'm a complete noob with this current game, but I'm starting to grind it. So using some very specific language there. But say that I've just started a playthrough of this game. That could be your opportunity to say, hey, I'm starting on this journey and this is my goal setting that I'm going to be engaging with this one. My skill level is at this level. Here's your opportunity to also show me some of the ways that you might be able to play this game or show me how to play this game to improve my skill set so I can learn the controls better, learn the something about the lore in the game, something like that. It can be an absolutely amazing opportunity. One of the things I would probably recommend as well is don't try to fake it. They will pick up on the level of authenticity that you're using. So if you try to use, if you try to use gamification of different things, that can have a very big blowback.
Okay.
So it needs to be an authentic sort of thing that you engage with. So if you really enjoy Wii tennis, cool, be the best at Wii tennis.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
just say that, hey, yeah, my favorite game is this one. What are some of your favorite games? Like,
Yeah.
if you're dealing with a gamer who, they will respect whatever game that you're playing. Some of these kids play games that are just terrible to me, but I will show like absolutely authentic interest in why they find it interesting, because of how interesting I find some of my games and how much of my life I've been able to dedicate to them. I mean, I named my company after the healing item in Dark Souls. That's how much I love these games. I've been
I have
able to
heard of
build
Dark
an entire.
Souls.
Yeah, that's how much I've been able to build so much around this sort of gaming stuff from my authentic passion for this.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any other questions for like specific like rapport building things or anything like that? Like, do you see a lot of things of in for psychology, just that having the strong rapport with somebody can be a factor?
Well, 100%. If you don't have rapport, it's no point. You can't continue. And I do have a lot of PDA presentation. So sometimes it is about I've created a Minecraft world on the realms, and it's just these kids can't leave their house at the moment. They're going through school, can't. They're just kind of like being there for them and them showing me their Minecraft, like how they build in Minecraft, and just getting them to explain that, and just them being kind of like the boss in there type of thing. So it's like, okay, well, what should we build? Like, and so that rapport has really been quite good for a lot of those kids, and just kind of getting them to explain, as you said, using that kind of like my lack of knowledge as a stepping stone with them, in terms of getting them to kind of bring me into their world, like show me their passion, that sort of thing. And like, oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, 100%, like in terms of building a rapport into the gaming, and just kind of like having that relationship, because if they feel that I'm not there, and generally there, as you said, like they're going to disconnect. They're just going to think I'm another person here just to try to fix them as such, or just make them do stuff, instead of actually being there for them, hearing them. And
I think one of the hardest things for when I've been onboarding clinicians, Nick, you might be able to mention this as well, and I spoke to Nam about this quite a bit, my other OT, is being able to kind of disconnect from, here's the goals that we're going to achieve in the next 3 weeks, and going like, we're going to build the relationship first. If you've got somebody who's really clearly identified for that PDA sort of profile, that relationship could be pivotal to it. And just being able to have them self-identify goals to work on themselves, and being able to be supportive of that, like that could be the intervention in itself. It's incredible to work with that population.
Yeah, and they kind of make you take that step back, and just kind of like remind you that we're here for them, and just kind of like let them set their own goals, and sort of but also coming to that understanding, like a lot of times they still want the same things, but they just aren't feeling heard by the adults and stuff around them. So they kind of shut down, or they just stop talking or saying actually things. So
yeah, and just to be able to have that sort of person in their network that is a supporter of the thing that they find most passionate is one of the really cool things to be able to do. And I think that's where you can be one of their biggest advocates as well when you're dealing with the other stakeholders. And that's probably why I'm so big on that sort of stakeholder engagement. They could be getting a lot of negative feedback within their world, their environment, based on their gaming profile. So if you can find a way to be able to translate what's happening for them in game to other people, that could be a big rapport building thing in itself.
yeah, and I think that's what I've seen, is that I have always kind of supported and explained to parents a lot of the time, like they're like, oh, we just want them to go to school, they want them to do this, they want they need to be social, and just that understanding that gaming is social for them, like that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
So for
just so
so many of these kids, like you try to make eye contact on a regular basis, that's going to be exhausting and put them off all level of therapy. So if you can gain engagement just by doing that, yeah, that could be huge. This is why I've had clients where it took, I think, 4 or 5 sessions before they joined voice chat. We were just doing typing-based stuff. But before it took that long, and they were completely removed from society. It just took that sort of time to build that trust to see, all right, this is actually a legitimate gamer based on their in-game actions. Like they could see that I'm good at this obby game in Roblox. Like that alone was able to build enough rapport that they were able to go to voice chat, to go to video chat.
Yeah.
And
it's
start
that trust in that,
and start to explore the possibility of we can go from this level of engagement with the world of zero, pretty much, of like I can engage in game and my avatar that I create, to then start to change environments. And I think if we looked at something like full-time school, I talked to quite a few parents about this, but like before we get to school, we have to look at transitions and self-care skills and just leaving the house on a regular basis. So if we had a thing of like, all right, we might start with like a homeschool distance education type thing. Great, we can do that at home. Maybe we can do once a week. We can do that in a library or a cafe that's sensory friendly, something like that, and start to build in the routine of just being able to leave the house. Do that graduated return to occupation. Yeah, it's a incredible area to work in. Okay, Javier, used as a building rapport building whilst working on the ADL skills. Yes. It depends on reducing game time. If it's excessive, yeah, absolutely. If that's the only thing that they do, then a lot of times it's building up that understanding of what they're doing within game to see if it is actually excessive or not, or there's so much nuance to that. And building out the thing of long-term motivation, that there's other possible occupations that you can engage with. But yeah, the long term is to move from gaming based to possibly just on refer to in-person clinic based stuff, or look at what other things that they're engaging with or not engaging with, and start to work on the long term sort of society involvement. And if that happens to, I mean, I've got a kid who it is clear as day that socialization is not a priority. Like, it's just not in their nature that they see friendships as like overly interesting. So if we imposed the goal of them making friends in novel situations, we're going to get a lot of negative feedback from that situation. But they're happy to do cooperative based gaming with people. So can we then expand that to cooperative based education or learning or remote employment situations? I mean, I can use myself as an example. When I think I've done one home visit in the last year. I get my groceries delivered. I don't need to leave the house very often, and I run a group practice. I'm one of the most networked people on LinkedIn, and you can still socialize, even though you might not be leaving the house too much. We just got to work within where somebody is in their life and what their sort of their actual goals are. Arif, technical question, outside tracking. For VR, I've been typically using the Quest 3. Yeah, then it becomes a very interesting situation of if you have a specific clinic set up for the external sensors, that'll be really, really interesting, especially if you have one of those rotating treadmill things as well. That would be absolutely awesome. You could do incredible stuff with that. Probably my favorite games that I'm playing on VR at the moment are so Robo Recall. That's been absolutely incredible. This cave exploration game where it has the Nutty Putty Cave in there. So that's been really cool to explore. Emily, Overcooked. Yes. Overcooked has been absolutely incredible for in-person therapy, actually. It can be absolutely chaotic. But that very quickly, you can show the score of when we communicate compared to when we don't communicate well for the activity, of what score that we can get, how many stars that you can get on it. So that one's been
Yeah.
absolutely incredible.
Yeah, no, I played a lot with my partner. I love Overcooked, but I never would have thought to do it with a client. But yeah, even just the emotional dysregulation that can come from that game would be
Yeah.
incredible to support in
And-
session.
And yeah, just like the executive function of, okay, these are the resources. This is what we're trying to build. How do we communicate that to share the roles within this activity to improve the scoring for it? Yeah, so massive opportunity for that one.
Absolutely.
Actually, do you think you could? Yeah, you could.
Oh, yeah, you go.
No, you go.
Oh, I was going to say I'll have to head off in a moment. So what were you going to say? Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, you were there from the very start when I joined for our sessions, and you saw plenty of those handovers. Like, what would be like your commentary of what you saw in those situations? Because you got to see like 5 or 6 of those opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you really opened my eyes to the world of gaming therapy. So I had, quite a few clients on my caseload that were male teenagers, ADHD, ASD, PDA profile that I'd been working with for a while, and I felt like we had a bit of rapport, but it definitely wasn't a very strong rapport. And I had, I'd been working with them for a long time on the same goals and not making as much progress as I would have liked to see. But then, exactly like you said, you being able to go in and just say, oh, I've, world rank 4 on Tony Hawk and all those things, and you just see the clients light up, like being able to recognize that this is someone that I can actually talk about gaming and engage in that world with. It was like instant rapport, so it was really impressive.
Yeah, and you'd be able to use some of those. I know you're gaming with your partner with both Overcooked, but also like your knowledge of God of War because of him. Like that you're able to talk about a lot of the lore, a lot of the characters and things like that far better than what other people would be. So yeah, there's so many
would have even brought
opportunities.
that up if we hadn't have had those conversations. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But I will have to head off. But thank you so much for your time. It was awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, and we'll catch up later. All right, see you.
See ya.
Okay. Anybody else? Wilson, how are you doing this morning? Arifa, you at work today?
Put me on the spot like that.
Yeah, sorry, dude.
All good. Gave me a lot of thoughts about using gaming because I already use gaming as part of my therapy. Like Overcooked, It Takes Two is another one that I love using.
Unraveled.
And I think there's always this decision making, I guess, when it comes to like building rapport and explaining what games you play. Sometimes you meet with kids who are playing games that are largely age inappropriate. I think the youngest kid I had who plays GTA and what was the other one? Can't remember. But basically, you go on, do a psychopathic thing, shoot people. Was 8. And then I guess like how do you introduce your gaming profile, and then like try to guide them back and teach what's age appropriate, what's age inappropriate.
Yeah. And I think it also depends on stakeholder involvement in those ones. You can role model it. I think it's probably going to be the strongest way of doing it. It's like I don't play that game. It's too violent for me. Here's the games that I do play. Which one did you want to try out? And like, there's a lot of rapport you'll need to look at, like transitions to state those sort of things and be clear about your boundaries about what you do and don't play. But there's so you could even put it down to like, oh, my sensory sort of needs, or I get motion sick from the third person perspectives or whatever it is.
I think
you can role model it.
That particular client worked really well because it was mainly coming from mum didn't know better.
Yeah.
Like they didn't know about the rating system. They didn't know what actually goes on in the game. But at the same time, that there are also some gaps in a sense that, like, for example, I personally play a lot of single player games that are also not necessarily kid friendly.
Yeah, but you're 30, so
Not 30, but
29. Okay.
I get the idea. Yeah, so but I like the perspective that, like, you explain why I don't play this game because of these reasons, and I think that's really good modeling. Because, like, for me, for my therapy approach, like, teaching them about themselves and self-efficacy is one of the major thing I build.
And so that's kind of the thing I think about with the difference between boundaries and rules, or being able to go boundaries are things that protect like my reaction to things and my choice to engage, and rules are things that I impose on others or how I want others to act. And like being able to be really clear about what your boundaries are and how you set them and communicate them can be really interesting.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's lots of opportunities for modeling boundary setting.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so really, really interesting area to look at. Alex, is there anything that could be applicable for you for the work that you do?
Pretty much everything. I think the main thing being taken away is how to explain it to parents. Because I think especially with Roblox and screen time, and I think we're at the age where a lot of gamers are growing up to be adults. So I think there's a clear shift in terms of how video games are portrayed, which is a welcoming change. But at the same time, like, a lot of teachers or therapists from older generations, they have very different perspective in terms of what gaming is like. So it's often not what I do gaming or how gaming can be used with children, is how to explain it to other stakeholders that I usually run into problems.
Yeah, and I think that's an area where I don't think people see how much work goes on in the background with what I do. It just happens to be the one where I can engage with the client directly in the way that they is one of the best fits for this current situation. So we go back to the thing of, is this person willingly coming to therapy, or is this something that's been imposed on them? So if I'm trying to engage the stakeholders, that's a completely separate sort of thing that I do to try to support my client. And for a lot of the clients, they're not the ones who've sent me the referral to say, I want to work on these goals because there's a skill deficit. For a lot of my adult clients, they were able to clearly identify that one. But for a lot of my pediatric clients, they're being sent to therapy.
Yep.
So I think the underlying motivations, who's driving or who's trying to drive the outcomes, and how much work needs to be done for each type of stakeholder is important to factor in as well. And what type of communication is going to be best suited for each of them. And especially looking at that sort of meta goal achievement, like rather than just going like, they're 12, they should be in school, let's get them back into school this term. That's really hard gap for somebody who doesn't leave the house. So like, what can you do to go from there to self-care, to communication, to transitions, to leaving the house on a regular basis, not just a one-off, but on a regular basis, and being able to sustain that for a long sort of period.
Yeah,
there might be a lot of setup to that, or there might be alternatives that you do. So you can do grade or adapt. So that's one of the other things that I think about. Like, is that setup the best for that client? Or can we introduce alternatives within that sort of therapeutic style as well? So we might have remote school, but we also have social engagement outside of that, regular routines, exercise, whatever sort of physical sort of stuff that we do that is self-driven, self-interest, but gets them out of the house on a regular basis. There's a lot of stuff that I think about from my return to work days of how we do our graded return to work. and the work hardening aspect of things as well. I think that's one of the best things that I can probably take away from all of this. Not trying to put somebody in the most complex of the occupation straight away, but how do
Yeah.
we build up to it?
Absolutely.
And yeah, really looking at the stakeholder engagement. How well are they aligned with what your goal setting is, what your time horizons are? Because if they can see the thing of like, all right, the one gap to this next thing is a simple one for them, but for the client, it could be one of the hardest gaps to overcome. Like, and be able to set those expectations and to see like what we do in session compared to what we do to support the environment is why we do so much with the sensory profile, with the transition planning, with the sleep routines, with all of that sort of thing, to support all those other occupations. So just the thing of being able to set up your gaming environment and that they're hydrated, they've got nutrition, they're well fed, and they've had sleep. How much is that going to improve the occupational engagement for that task?
Yeah.
So there's so much that I think about for what are the factors leading up to the occupational performance that aren't just what is the client doing or what is the client not doing. That's an entire environment, and that's why I'm so big on the stakeholder engagement.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Arif, you still there?
Always.
Hey, man. Anything else that you want? GTA. What is this?
Yeah, no, I have quite a few tales about the same thing where, we need to consider how much influence we actually have over what I like to call their gaming diet, because they've been brought up in that kind of very permissive environment that does allow them to play these games without really a lot of consideration for what kind of content in it. There's only so much you can do before, any rapport that you get with the kid is immediately killed. So what I used to do was I actually took on a more of a harm reduction approach, and I would sometimes get them to reflect because even in GTA, even though you're doing all those criminal acts, it's always glamorous. And I think with GTA 5 and I think the upcoming GTA 6, I'm curious from a storytelling perspective because they often try to model that, it's going to be a high intensity, high risk, high reward kind of world if you do this kind of things. They're trying to go away from the old binary that, it's glamorous to be a criminal,
Yeah.
The game is called Grand Theft Auto, right? But in recent entries, they actually take a more sober approach because they recognize that audiences don't just want that that pastiche of what used to be glamorous gangster kind of violence. There's actually cause effect. There's a story in it. Sometimes it's actually a good emotional hook. But kids they don't often do that. They just want to find a way to have fun, get rid of their frustrations for 30 minutes a day. And what I found surprisingly was that they actually like the gameplay mechanics more than the game itself. They just like the interactivity. Some of them, they just like the racing, and that is something that you could go into like Forza, and that's a whole lot more engaging. And it's all about trying to deconstruct what actually happens in the game. And for one of those clients specifically, I said that again it's not really nice to aspire to be a guy like Trevor in the game, right? And because I found out that they just like the gameplay mechanic, I thought, how about we try something else inside the world, not online, but we're going to try to do something else. You're going to be playing as the cops. And he just, what? You can do that? Because he said he never actually liked the idea of hurting the cops. He just, the game just couldn't adopt his playstyle. He wanted to just explore a living world and not really, do the things that he doesn't have to do. But the game kind of says that, if you do this, then you have to get either a gang member trying to attack you and you have to kill other people in defense. This mod, and it's just because I'm a PC gamer, right? So of course I have to mod everything. This game actually retrofits the entire gameplay hook So you're not playing as one of the two, criminals or wannabes. You're playing as the cops, and you're
Yeah.
actually doing stuff like saving people cat or helping people take them from hostages. So again, it delivers that same
There's so
feel.
much nuance to it, and like treating GTA as just as a monolithic sort of a thing removes the 20 years of gaming experience. Like there's so much to GTA. I mean, I've been playing GTA since GTA. Like before GTA 2, I was playing GTA. Like, this is how long I've been playing it for. Like, and there's shared stories that you can talk about in that. So there's rapport building. There's roles that you can play. You can do challenge modes of going like, can you drive 10 minutes without getting pulled over, or setting off a 1 star? There's so many different things, from like an executive function, from inhibitory control, that you can do just from doing something like that.
Yeah, I actually want to add on that because I actually had some accidental surprises when one of my client was playing Red Dead Redemption. He treated it like a GTA game and went in and started shooting. The game actually like forcibly put him back to the spawn point and saying, this is not how we do things here. And then it we had a conversation around what's expected and what are the boundaries and what are the rules. And it took him a couple of weeks to process it, I think. And then it went from like him wanting to play a completely different game for a couple of weeks to can we play can we start with Red Dead Redemption again? And then this time, without me directly prompting or doing any reminders, he started following the law, and started enjoying the game. So that was actually quite surprising in itself. And I guess there's also the perspective between like myself as a gamer and myself as a clinician, so to speak. I grew up playing like I used to play RTS with my dad, and we all know what 2000s RTS is like. There were no filters.
Yeah.
But there were people being burnt alive or being turned into blue men for being like poisoned. And I played that when I was 8. I grew up to be a somewhat normal person. And then the same thing with GTA. I think I started with GTA 3.
Yep.
On PSP. But I think because of the gamer history I had, like I know this is a video game. I know this is not real. I know we do all these on a video game so we can get those dopamine without actually committing crime in real life.
Yeah, we can separate that out. Yeah,
like we can separate it, and I guess like if coming from a fellow gamer, I would say like go for it. But the balance between like doing it as a fellow gamer and doing it as a clinician, and it also depends on the age and understanding for your clients as well, I would say.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's an interesting line and interesting balance to strike.
Yeah, and as much as I like the operational thing of, all right, we're going to do this game within this session, I think having Mishon's bottle for the driving OT has really sort of been able to give me some language around how we also do the meta skill achievement of those long-term big lifestyle goals and engagements. So being able to talk a lot more about the stakeholder engagement. I thought that other people were doing that naturally, but turns out like my theory of mind means that they didn't also do their time in vocational rehab. But this is one of the gaps that I sort of identified. This is why I wanted to do the presentation. I think there were so many misconceptions around that you only do the stuff in game, and it's not. But there's the rapport building technique. There's the stakeholder engagement. There's the goal setting and the avatar achievement for the person. And there's the motivational interviewing that you would do to get people to able to self-identify and identify where they want to be in the future. The metacognition that you can use for different game and setups and choice and control over situations. All those sort of things were probably missed when it's just being able to communicate about gaming. Alex, that looks incredible. I was just looking at the link for that. That's like that actually looks really, really cool for the stuff that you do. For like the rehab based stuff, like gamified sort of rehab based stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
deep as
absolutely.
well.
Like we getting our clients, our younger boys with autism who may not be as interested in physical activity. This has kind of been the best way to get them engaged. I mean, in particular, that balance board, where it's kind of like your typical arcade style games, like your Temple Run, your coin collecting games, your roller skating. Really, really fun. Works their balance, works their coordination, keeps them engaged as well.
Because one of my favorite things that I've ever seen is being able to work with exercise physiology on a lot of this stuff. I think the kids that get access to exercise physiology as well as OT and speech and things, being able to fill up that bucket for physical fitness as well as being well rested, nutrition, hydration, physical fit for situations, I think is a big factor. And for a lot of these kids, if they're inactive because they're not engaging with what they typically see for like school-based like sports programs and things, you're missing out on a big opportunity for strength and conditioning for life and just being able to sustain engagement in activities.
Yeah, and then we've got the second device there that I've sent through. That's a crowd-funded Kickstarter one. It's kind of like your Dance Revolution style pad, but apparently it's going to sync up with a bunch of like PS2, 3, 4, and Xbox games. And essentially whatever you do on the mat, on the platform, your character will do in the games that it's been linked to. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see. That should be arriving sometime in August.
Wow. That's cool. Like I've seen so many challenge runs for the Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Sekiro type games of people using whatever device, so Dance Revolution pad or a violin or whatever to be able to do it. But to find somebody who's just been able to produce something like that, that's awesome. That's awesome. What's this third? What's this one? Wearable controller. Okay. That's cool. All right, Wilson, you need to jump off?
Yeah, I need to jump off. But yes, thanks for the time. Thanks for the seminar. That was good.
Absolutely awesome. Cool. Yeah, really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Cool.
All right.
Bye.
Arif, we got to catch up again soon. And Alex, I need to check out your clinic soon. Well, I've been so busy, so I apologize for that. I know we've been trying to set that up for ages.
Yeah, all good, no rush. We'll sort something out soon.
Yeah, I'll be in Adelaide next month, finish off the driving OT, and then after that, I've got a lot more time opening back up for when I start implementing that. Yeah, really perfect. Cool. And Arif, we've got so much still to talk about. We could do 10 hours a day and still probably not get to the bottom of what we talk about.
We'll need to get our digital twins to duke it out.
Yeah, absolutely. We just set up a chatbot on Discord and they can go at each other.
Oh yeah, that'll be one great experiment.
All right, I'm going to jump off. Appreciate running the session, Liam, and I'll chat to you guys soon.
All right, and see you. I got to run as well.
Thanks, Liam.
All right, see you guys. Bye.
And Liam, thanks again. Great stuff.